So today we launch a new series that's 5 years in the making. Every summer we do this series called Unforgettable. And to get us started, I'm going to ask you a very simple question. And the question is this: what is unforgettable to you? Think about it for a second in your mind. You don't need to speak it out loud. This is not for everybody to know, but just in your mind, what is unforgettable? The truth behind that question is if I were to poll the audience, if I were to ask every single one of you to answer that question, I would get 140, 150 different responses. Everyone in the room would have something else they deemed unforgettable. Some of you would be like, oh, is that restaurant we went to? You know, that restaurant that's downtown or in this town or in that city or in this country? And it was just so good. I mean, it was life-changing. I'll never forget fill in the blank. It was so wonderful. It was unforgettable. Some of you would be like, oh, is this vacation we went on? It was that cruise or that country or that all-inclusive resort we went to where we could just eat to our heart's desire. Like it was just so beautiful. The water was blue. You would just go into all these details of why that place was unforgettable. The truth is, if I were to ask every single person in this room, we'd all have a different experience, a different definition of unforgettable. Well, that's not really always the greatest thing when you're teaching, to have a whole bunch of different expressions. And so I was like, how can I get us all on the same page to what unforgettable is? And so I went to the Googles and I asked, hey, like define unforgettable. And Google, usually, which is pretty helpful, said this: something impossible to forget, very memorable. Like, that's definitely not what I was going for. In fact, that's not a very memorable definition. That's the word unforgettable. I'm looking for something better than that. And so I kept looking and I kept scrolling. When you get a definition, you just you scroll down and it gives you examples of it. And you go through example after example after example and its usage and its origin, all this stuff. And I get down to example number 8. And example number 8 gave me the definition I was looking for, I was hoping for. It said this: unforgettable, your very first kiss. Yeah. Some of you are like, yuck, But the truth is, your first kiss is unforgettable. Some of you have not had that experience. It's good. Don't. Not yet. Wait a long time. When you're 21. It's illegal before then. That's what I tell my kids. Okay, so, but your very first kiss, it's unforgettable. It's like this moment, in my mind, it's Saved by the Bell. That show? Anyways, then the music changes, the lights dim, the gaze, the look, and it probably didn't happen that way. For some of you, you spun a bottle, and that was your first kiss. But nonetheless, it was unforgettable. It's unforgettable because you did something you had never done before. That's the truth in the heart behind the word unforgettable. When you go somewhere you've never been, when you've done something you've never done, that is usually unforgettable. It's new territory. And with this kind of idea, this lens of doing something you've never done, going somewhere you've never been, new territory, this is the heart behind the series. So I began to think through the framework. What were my first experiences? Where was a time in my life where I did something I'd never done? I went somewhere I never went, and I just began thinking through that. And I came up with a few. One of my first unforgettables was driving my car by myself for the very first time. In fact, I remember driving for the very first time. My dad had taken me to Cartersville, Georgia. I had taken the driver's permit test. I passed it. We're heading 75 north from Cartersville back up to Cherokee County. My dad pulls over into the emergency lane, gets out, and I'm like, what are we doing? He's like, get out. I'm like, I can't walk this far. And he's like, you're driving. My first driving experience was merging off of the emergency lane onto 75 north. We're either going to live or die. This is memorable, right? My very first driving experience, my dad taught me that way. I passed my driver's test, and my parents loved me. They bought me a 1985 Ford Mustang. Yeah, it was awesome. It was a 5-speed, and I remember my dad dropping me off at the house where my car was parked, and he was like, okay, just one thing, go to school. I just passed the test that morning, and my one responsibility was go to school. But I remember driving that car for the first time with no parent in the passenger seat. I'm like, oh, I got to turn left up here. No one's telling me what to do. I've got to get over. Where am I going? your parent had told you what you're doing, when to do it, like buckle up, put in drive, put in reverse, park, stop, go, all those rules. And now there was no voices. It was just me. And I remember driving, it was actually at my brother's house. I backed out of the driveway of my brother's house, and I had to think for a minute, where am I? Was it home? Like, how do I get to school from here? I had to navigate my way. It was something new. It was my first, all of myself. It was completely unforgettable. I remember Eli was born, and he was probably pretty close to, he talked, or if you ever met Eli, he's me. He can talk. And so he probably started talking around 2 months old. But nonetheless, it was probably 10 or 11 months when he began to start really speaking. And I remember when he said, Dad, Daddy, this first time that my name changed. For my whole life, I've been Chris. And if I was in trouble, I was Christopher Dale. That's what you called me. But now, my son, my firstborn, he's the one that gets to speak my new name. I get to be Dad forever because of him. And that's such a memorable experience. It's the first time, right? Anytime you experience something for the first time, anytime you do something you've never done, you go somewhere you've never been before, this new experience is what we will deem unforgettable. And with that perspective in mind, I want you to know that's what this series is all about. For the next 7 weeks, we will have different communicators every single week on this stage. People from our church, around our community, and they're going to share unforgettable stories of following Jesus, seeing him do incredible things in their lives as they trusted him and went places they'd never been, did things they had never done at first many of the times, but they saw God do things extraordinary, unforgettable. And here's my hope and prayer. My hope and prayer is that each week you walk away and you're like, I want one of those. I want an unforgettable. I want to experience God. I want to see him do things I've never seen him do. I want to follow him places I've never been. I want you to walk away and desire your own unforgettable. But the truth is that longing and desiring for the unforgettable is not enough to get an unforgettable. You must take the steps. You must do what's required to experience the unforgettable. And so over the next few weeks, you'll hear stories, but today, my goal is to lay a framework out that you can begin building upon. That if you try these things, if you put some of this stuff into practice, you too can have your own unforgettable, your own experience of trusting God to do things you've never seen him do, trust him to go places you've never been. And we're going to use a story. And we're going to use a story to teach us this framework. The story comes from the book of Joshua. Joshua's story is my favorite Bible story. Apart from Jesus coming back to life, this is my favorite. God does something through Joshua that I believe makes following Jesus I can do this. If Joshua could do it, I can do it. And so today we're going to jump in and start in Joshua 3. And just to give you a little bit of a little history, Joshua has been following this man named Moses. And you've probably heard of Moses. Moses was the guy who saw, that car was loud. Moses was the guy who saw the bush that was burning but not consumed. Moses was the guy who led the nation of Israel and followed a pillar of fire and then saw the Red Sea divided as they walked through it. Moses saw some awesome things, and he's leading, he's developing, he's mentoring this guy named Joshua. So Joshua's following Moses as they're wandering in the desert because Moses is not allowed to enter the promised land. And one morning, Joshua wakes up, and Joshua finds out this devastating news. He says, hey, God speaks to him, Joshua, Moses, my servant, is dead. That's the beginning of Joshua's story. It's your turn, Joshua. The guy you've been following, the guy who's been leading you, mentoring you, he is no longer leading and mentoring you. I'm in charge. I'm leading you. Listen to what I say to do. Get up and go. You're taking the nation of Israel, and you're going to enter the promised land. This is Joshua's call. Now, God is going to speak a whole bunch of things to him, and we're going to pick it up in Joshua chapter 3. It says this: early the next morning, starting in verse 1. Early the next morning, Joshua and all the Israelites left Acacia Grove, where they were spending time. And they arrived at the banks of the Jordan, where they camped before crossing. 3 days later, the Israelite officers went through the camp, giving these instructions to the people. When you see the Levitical priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God, move out from your positions and follow them. Since you have never traveled this way before, they will guide you. Stay about a half a mile behind them, keeping a clear distance between you and the ark. Make sure you don't come any closer. This story starts out with these rules. It says, listen, you're going to set out and you're going to follow the Levitical priests, and they're carrying the Ark of the Covenant, the Lord your God. Just so everybody's on the same page, the Ark of the Covenant is this really cool box. And in this really cool box, God's Spirit dwells. Now, just some understanding. God's Spirit dwelled in one specific location before Jesus. After Jesus died, buried, resurrected, Jesus goes into heaven. He says, I'm going to send you the Comforter. I'm going to send you the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit's going to come upon, fall upon, and be in all of those who profess faith in Jesus. If you believe in Jesus, that he's the Son of God, that he died, was buried, and resurrected, and ascended to heaven, if you believe that, you will have the Holy Spirit in you. So after Jesus, everybody has a Spirit. Before Jesus, in this time, the Spirit dwelled in this box. And so wherever this box, the Ark of the Covenant, try not to diminish it, it's a cool box. Where this box went, it's God's Spirit, that's what they followed. And God's Spirit was powerful in his presence. In fact, when it wasn't moving, it sit in a certain location in the temple, in the inner courts in this room called the Holy of Holies. And in the Holy of Holies, no one could just go to this room. Only one person, a high priest. And he'd go once a year. And his purpose was to go and make a sacrifice for the forgiveness of sin of all the people. And if this priest were to approach that box where the God's Spirit dwelled, and he were to have sin or be unclean, he would be dead. Like, it's not a joke. When he says follow this, he's saying follow where my Spirit leads you. But there were rules. Only certain people could carry the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord our God. And if you were to touch the ark with your bare hand, you'd immediately turn to dust. There's stories of people who went to touch it as it shifted, like they were going to drop it, and he died. He's gone. And so this box is powerful, and it's important. And Joshua's given strict instructions. Don't get too close to it. Stand back so that everyone can see where it's going. And as the Levitical priests move, you follow it. And then he says the key words to the unforgettable. Follow it because you've never gone this way before. Joshua gets the key. He gets the beginning of the unforgettable. New always leads to unforgettable. It's always an adventure. I experienced something new this week. I was invited this past Wednesday to go on a boat ride, which I've done many times before here in the city of Savannah. We have ocean and water everywhere, right? I live on Wilmington Island. I pray almost daily that God never lets me get used to driving over water. It's beautiful. It's magnificent. So on Wednesday, we're going to go on a boat ride, and I'm excited to do that because every time we've gone out, we've seen dolphins, and there were dolphins super close to us and around us. It was just a cool experience. That's not new. What was new on this experience is that we all get to the marina, we're going to get on this boat, and we're all checking the radar because I don't know if you've noticed this week, but we've had thunderstorms show up out of nowhere, right? So we all on our phone is yes, there are storms, but they're far south of us. We have a 0% chance of rain. Just want y'all to understand the word I used first. I said 0, not 1, 2, 10, 0% chance. So we all get on this boat and we take off. And as we get into the water, you drive with the tree line, you notice, there are some dark clouds over there. But those dark clouds are over there, and there, based upon the radar, was south of Richmond Hill. We're good. We're going the opposite direction. We're heading from Isle of Hope to Thunderbolt area. We're fine. No big deal. And we take off and we're just cruising, having the time of our life. But as we're cruising, it's this black cloud is cruising with us, As we go, it goes. And if you look away for a little bit and you look back, it's like playing red light, green light. It's getting closer and then it's but it's not that bad. And we keep going and look back up. Oh man, it's got a little closer. 30, 45 minutes pass and we're cruising. And next thing you know, you hear this deep rumble. That sounded like, I don't know, thunder. It's interesting, Look at the radar again. Nope, not coming near us. South of Richmond Hill. It looks a lot more north than this thing says, but I trust this thing. And so we keep going, right? Well, as we're continuing talking, that cloud gets closer and closer. And then you look over and all of a sudden you see a streak of lightning. It's close enough for us to see. It's no longer way down there. It's like right there, and then like a debate kind of ensues on our boat ride of what do we do, And internally, I'm having these thoughts of like, are there life jackets? Why would I get in the water? I don't want to die of lightning bolts. Like, where should we go? Where do we go? We're in the middle of the water. Like, I'm like just having this conflict of like, well, there's sun over there. Let's go towards sun. But, like my car and livelihood is that way. Like, do we go back and get in the, like, what do we do? And so we're like debating and discussing. And all the while, the storm moves into overdrive. And it becomes this wall, this abyss of black. And it's just eating daylight, okay? I mean, like, it's like a Pac-Man, and it's just taking over light as we're just cruising, watching it. You're kind of amazed by it, like, this is incredible, but it's also scary. And before you know it, we've made the decision, we've got to get somewhere, okay? Like, it is literally moving at the speed of light. It's black, it's starting to sprinkle. You can see rain in the distance coming, and we take off. And we begin learning a lot of things. Rain at 30 miles an hour hurts real bad. It's like little bullets, just pelting you, like somebody's shooting you. And we are just flying. And I'm like, what are we doing? I don't know how to drive a boat, okay? Like, you don't want me to drive a boat? Like, docking a boat when, like, tides are moving, like, I'm going to be the guy that if you want me to dock your boat, I will put it on top of the dock. Like, I will run it right over in fact, I'll bail on it, like, just leave the boat. I'm jumping towards the dock, like, that's not me. Like, I don't do that. I'm a rider. I've got an opinion, but I'm not in charge. And so we're flying. Light is going away. Rain is falling. Bolts of lightning are now like in our vicinity because it's like lightning, bang, thunder. You're close. And we pull into a marina. We pull into the Savannah Yacht Club and just praying the whole time that they, will receive us because we're not members of their place. And so we pull in and we all bail the boat. We actually stood there for a few moments under a little covering and we're drenched. And I'm cold, and we're all cold. And so we run up this dock, and we go find this overhang, this covering. And here we are drenched as there are people dressed in shirt and ties just eating their dinner, watching us. I've never done this before. It was truly unforgettable. And it's at these unique moments when you're experiencing things for the first time, maybe even new, that some of us unconsciously make choices. And the choices are sometimes out of fear or maybe worry or doubt. And we do something. We internally in our mind say, you know what, I'll never do that again. You know what, I will never let that happen again. It'd have been really easy in that moment to be like, I'm not getting on a boat ever again. And in fact, I did say this, I'll never trust this radar in my life. Because 20 minutes ago, there was no storm, and then you refresh it, and it's like, oh, storm's on top of you, Like, it would be very easy to say, I'll never do this again. But it's at these crossroads when we're experiencing something new that if we're not careful, we'll miss the unforgettable. You see, every unforgettable moment will require something from you. It will need something from you, and what it needs is trust. Trust is always demanded for the unforgettable. In this situation, I was at the trust of the driver getting us where we need to go. Like, all I could do is either bail, which was dangerous, or just hope to God lightning didn't strike us, right? There's just trust. I have no control over the outcome of the situation. Many of us find ourselves in a place where we are demanding, it's pulling from us this trust. And trust is not something we easily give. It's not like something we just freely hand over. No, trust is something that we actually very scarcely give away because we love control. Have you ever heard of this thing called a trust fall? Anybody? You should Google it. Not now, but later. There's this thing going around the younger generation where they'll be walking in the halls of their school or around their house and they'll randomly say, trust fall. And what they do is they turn their back to a friend and they begin falling. And if their friend is a good friend, they'll catch them, right? My kids don't realize in my older age that my computing skills are slowing down. And so my kids will run up to me and be like, Dad, trust fall. And all of a sudden, thunk, my kid hits the floor. What are you doing? What? Like, Dad, you're supposed to catch me, like I trusted you. And I'm like, well, I wasn't ready to be trusted yet, like a trust fall is this experience where you like lock your hands, you turn your back and you trust the person that's going to catch you behind you and you just fall backwards. But what's so interesting about the trust fall is that you see the moment a human being starts to doubt the trust in the person that's going to catch them. Because what they do is they begin to reach for control. If you're going to fall, you reach out and you're trying to grasp something that will catch you or brace you from hitting the hard surface of the earth. It's in that moment your mind catches up with your choice and your body catches up with what's happening and you're like, no, I don't trust anymore. I want control. This simple illustration of our natural responses is actually what happens a lot of times when the unforgettable is present in our life. When there's an opportunity for us to do something new, go somewhere we've never been. It demands our trust. But yet we struggle. We doubt. And instead of trusting, we simply try to hold on to control. As I've aged, I've realized some things. I have some natural responses. They're now like a litmus test for me. When I'm struggling to trust, I have these like instincts that happen that now I can recognize. I've realized over time that when I begin to believe that staying where I am is easier than going where I've never been, I'm struggling with trust. I just want to say that again. I begin believing that staying where I am is easier than going where I've never been. I'm struggling with trust. It sounds like this. You know what? It's really not that bad here. In fact, like I'm okay with what's going on. I say things like this, I'll be fine. Like this, there's no risk involved. It's safe if I stay here. I don't have to worry about, them or the outcome if I just stay. It's in this situation that I begin to negotiate. Well, you know what? If I go, if I do, if I trust, then this could happen. But if I don't, if I just chill and hang out, then I know what to expect. The negotiation process in my head and heart is telling me I'm struggling with trust. And it's here that God actually meets us. It's in this moment where trust is being demanded, but we're beginning to negotiate whether or not we trust or should we stay or, maybe I want control. No, God, you don't understand what they'll do if they have understanding. If they knew this about me or if I try this and I fail, everyone's going to see I'm not good enough. Like all these things go through your head. You're negotiating whether you should trust or if you should, have control of yourself. You're negotiating. It's in this moment right here that God speaks. And he actually speaks to Joshua. He says in Joshua 1:9, and I'm going to read it from this, guys, just because the screen's a little different. Joshua 1:9 says, "This is my command. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Now, let's just call this what it is. God, in the very beginning of Joshua's story, gives him a pep talk. He says to Joshua, hey, listen, let's just reason this out a little bit. I need you to not be afraid. Well, why, God? Listen, Joshua, not only don't be afraid, I need you to be courageous. And I need you to listen, and I need you to know that I'm with you. Well, God, why are you telling me this? Like, why are you telling me not to be afraid? Because, Joshua, where you're going, you're going to be afraid. Well, I don't want to go there anymore. I need you to be courageous, Joshua, but why don't you be courageous? Because where you're going is going to cause you to be fearful and doubtful. You're going to wonder, what the heck is God doing? Like, why would you take me here? Why would you do this, God? Why would you send me? And I need you to know that I'm with you. Don't be afraid. This similar pep talk that God gave Joshua, I give to my kids when I know they're about to get a shot. I go to the doctor's office and my kids are like, they see the tray come in and on the tray is like these needles. And to my kids, these needles are like this long, And I'm like, buddy, it's not that. Like it's this big and it's going to be like a second. Yeah, but Dad, it hurts. But buddy, do you trust me? Yes. Well, then I promise you, I won't do anything that's going to hurt you. But Dad, this is why do I need this? Because it's actually, son, it's good for you, and the school requires it. And we're not negotiating right now. We're just going to do this, right? Like, just look at Dad. Close your eyes. And there's been so many times where I've given this similar pep talk that God gives Joshua to my kids. And the next thing I know, I'm digging my kids out from behind desks and tables because fear set in. And fear set in, and fear took control. Fear took over. And when it takes over, it like literally causes chaos. And in that chaos, my kids were like, yeah, right, I'm out. I'm gonna bail. And my kids who always like, they do listen. They might not listen in the timing that I want them to listen, but they do listen. My kids no longer listen. My logic, my words, my wisdom, my advice, out the window. Why? Because fear is in control. Fear is not a good driver. It's chaos. It causes us to think and dream and imagine things that might not ever happen. It causes us to live in a reality that's not true or even existing. And God, very quickly, before anything happens, says, hey, Joshua, I need you to know something. Like what you're about to do is going to challenge your belief system. It's going to challenge what you think you know. And I need you to know right now, don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Have courage. Know this. Where you're going, I'm with you. This pep talk that's given to Joshua is so important. The last words that he says are the most one. He says, I'm with you. When you're afraid, I'm with you. When you're scared, I'm with you. When you're doubting, I'm with you. I need you to know this because you're going to be tempted to believe, you know what? It's okay if I just stay here. It's safe here. Here, no one knows. Here, no one's expecting more of me. I'm good. But Joshua doesn't stay. Joshua doesn't negotiate with God and be like, but God, these 40 years wandering in the desert have taught us a lot. Like, we actually got it made. In the morning you give us food, in the evening you give us food. We're good. Who needs the promise? No one's bothering us. You destroyed Egypt. They're all under the water. Like, we're just kind of safe here, God. And he's like, no, listen, don't be afraid. Don't doubt. Trust me, I've got something for you. And Joshua listens. The story continues in Joshua 3:14. It says, so the people left their camp to cross the Jordan. And the priests who were carrying the Ark of the Covenant went ahead of them. It was harvest season. So it's a key, important note here. It was harvest season. And the Jordan was overflowing its banks. So Joshua approaches this river and he knows that what lies beyond it is for them. But there's a problem. And the problem is there's an obstacle in their way. There's something in front of them keeping them from experiencing what God has for them. So many of us in this room have stopped pursuing what God has for us because an obstacle got in our way. Something showed up. Something came up. Fear, finances, doubt, our past showed up. And we stopped. So they get to this river. It's at harvest season. The Jordan is overflowing its banks. It's not a river that you can just cross now. There's no let's get on boats. There's no let's swim. It's harvest season. This river has literally tripled in size. It is something that would naturally cause someone to say, you know what, we'll just wait it out. It's a seasonal thing. In 6 months, this will be back to normal. We'll cross then. But God's like, no, that's not what I said. And Joshua listens. So it says this next. But as soon as the feet of the priests who were carrying the ark touched the river's edge, the water above that point began backing up in a great distance away in a town called Adam. It says, and the water below flowed out into the Dead Sea until the riverbed was dry. Then all the people crossed over near the town of Jericho. Unforgettable moments don't happen for people who stand and watch or sit back and stay. It won't happen. Unforgettable is always for the people who approach obstacles in faith and trust and see God do things beyond their imagination. Like, don't lose sight of this. As crazy as watching the River Jordan stop flowing, to see it dry out, some would say that's unforgettable. And yes, I agree with you, mentally that's unforgettable, but that's not the unforgettable. That's the obstacle. The unforgettable lies just beyond it. It's a place flowing with milk and honey. It's a place that has provision and safety and security. No more slavery. No more worry or fear of another kingdom taking over them. It's the place that God provided where they could be who God created them to be. Many of us today are here. And as I speak of the word obstacle, you can identify it. You can see it. There's something in your life that's causing or creating fear. It's this thing in front of you like, man, there's no way. I could never do that. I could never overcome this. I could never reveal this because this might happen. I'm getting a little better at this, so bear with me. I guess I'm speaking this. Like God, like I hear him saying, I've heard so many people say this in my life. Chris, I could never foster a child. I could never do foster care because if the kid was taken from me, I couldn't handle it. Like if there's someone in the room today who's thought about adoption or foster care, don't let your fear of the outcome dictate your obedience to God. So often, we miss what God has for us because something got in the way that caused us to second guess or question. I didn't mean to get that specific, but it hit me in my head and I'm going to speak it. So let me ask you the question, what's your obstacle? What's in your life causing you to second guess? Causing you to be afraid? Is there past? Is there hurt? Is there doubt? Is there worry? Chances are, if you can identify that obstacle, I want you to know this, that just beyond it is the unforgettable. Obstacles are the gateway to the unforgettable. So what is your obstacle? What's lying ahead of you? Wreaking havoc in your mind and your heart. Fear, doubt, worry are abounding. If you can identify your obstacle, I want you to know that your unforgettable is just beyond you. And it's important that we all experience unforgettable. This is the heart behind the series. It's very important that we all experience these moments where we trusted God to do something beyond our abilities. He did something that we couldn't do alone. We needed him to accomplish it. And because he did it, because we trusted him, we experienced the unforgettable. Like we have to do that. This story continues in Joshua chapter 4. It says, so Joshua calls together 12 men he had chosen, one from each tribe of Israel. And he tells them, go into the middle of the Jordan, because it's now dry. Go into the middle of the Jordan in front of the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God. Each of you must pick up a stone and carry it on your shoulder. He didn't want like a pebble. He wanted a rock. Go get this beast of a thing, 12 of them. Carry on your shoulder, 12 stones in all, each one for the tribe of Israel. And he says this in verse 6. He says, we will use these stones to build a memorial. In the future, your children will ask you, what do these stones mean? Then you can tell them, they remind us that the Jordan River stopped flowing when the ark of the Lord's covenant went across. These stones will stand as a memorial among the people of Israel forever. We built this memorial so that we could remind our children, this is the God we serve. If they'd have waited 6 months and walked over the River Jordan when it was low and easy, There's not a story. There's nothing unforgettable. But because God allowed them to walk through an obstacle, God allowed them to see something that made it seem impossible. And because they overcame the fear, trusted God, and they did one thing, they put their toe in the water, God did the rest. I believe that your unforgettable lies just beyond the obstacle, and God's asking for one act of obedience. Just trust me with that next step. Obstacles cause fear. We want to retreat. We want to hide. We settle for this is how it's going to be, and I'm okay with that. I heard these words: "Take it to your grave." There's some things in life you just take. Like that's what the obstacles do. They cause you to you know what? I'm just going to be fine with where I'm at, and we miss the unforgettable. And when kids ask, "Why do you follow Jesus?" Well, because he's just a good God who saved me. I'm just a sinner saved by grace. And that's so true, but so for real? That's why you follow him? Because you're a sinner saved by grace? That's your experience? No. You need an unforgettable. And so here's the framework. Do you see obstacles? Look for them. The chances are, if there's not an obstacle in your life, you're probably not going the direction God wants you to go. When you follow Jesus, we have an enemy whose desire is to steal, kill, and destroy. Your destruction is his plan. When you're following Jesus, he wants nothing more than you to be obliterated. You will find obstacles. Look for them. And when an obstacle approaches, don't run from it. Stop hiding from it. Some of you have obstacles that have been in control of your life for years, decades. And fear keeps you bound. I can't address this obstacle. I can't speak to this. I can't talk about this obstacle. I'll just leave that obstacle over there and hopefully it just stays there. No. When you find an obstacle, approach it. Walk towards it. Address it. Speak it. And trust that God, who spoke to Joshua, is speaking to you saying, don't be afraid. Have courage. I'm with you. I'm before you. I'm in this. Let's do this together. And then when you experience the unforgettable, talk about it. Share it. Don't be ashamed of it. Remind yourself often, man, this is what I faced, and this is what God did. You see, when we experience things like this, the church becomes the church that God created us to be. One that shares his story to others. Where people come to our presence and I don't know what we're doing here, but I want what you have. I want to know the God that you serve. I want the life you're living. And it's not like they're like, oh man, I want to be like Joshua, which I pray that we want to be like Joshua. But I've never met Joshua. I'll never meet Joshua on this side of heaven. I'll never get to shake his hand or hear his story. Your experience with God is tangible. You're breathing oxygen. You're alive. And it's mandatory that those around us hear the goodness of God. They see it in our life so that they can experience it also. So we're going to close with this. I'm going to pray. And I'm going to have a team of people come down, a prayer team. For many of you in the room, you can acknowledge the obstacle. You're like, I know what it is. I've thought about it. I've seen it. I've experienced it. It's doing all the things you said, Chris. It's causing fear and anxiety. It's causing me to doubt or retreat. It's there. I just want you to take one step of obedience and allow someone to pray for you for courage, for strength, to overcome, to walk through, to approach the obstacle. Allow someone on this team to pray for you that you could take one step of obedience like the Levitical priests. They just put their toes in the water and God did the rest. Maybe God's asking for one step of obedience. And after your one step of obedience, he's going to usher you into the unforgettable. So let someone pray for you. The rest of you, here's what I ask of you. Stay for a while. We're serving lemonade outside. Go hang out with our team. Go meet some of our students. Take your kids out there, play. We want you to just to feel at home here. So let me pray for us, and then we'll be dismissed. Jesus, thanks for the day. Thanks for the truth of your word. And God, I ask that we would be a church that experiences the unforgettable. That God, we would understand and realize that obstacles are not because we're bad or because we've done something wrong or because you're punishing. Obstacles are the things that teach us to trust you. Every unforgettable has an obstacle. Jesus, you had an obstacle. You had a cross before you. And though it caused deep pain and sorrow, you approached your obstacle with trust that your Father had a good plan. And in your act of obedience and approaching your obstacle, Jesus, we get to experience life in you. We get to experience trust and faith and relationship in you because of what you did for us. God, help us realize that obstacles lead us to the unforgettable. Help us approach our obstacle with faith, with courage, knowing that you're with us. And God, give us the boldness to share our unforgettable with the world around us, that others would see your good works and they would glorify you, God. We love you, Jesus. It's in our pray. Amen. Love you guys. You're dismissed.